Thank you, Sam. You are a lifesaver. So I will start this again. I want to let everybody know tonight's live is going to be centrally focused classes of 2025, recent high school graduates 2026, and the 2027 class, which is on deck on August 1st. I encourage you, if you have questions, live Q&A. So if you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, formerly known as X, or X, formerly known as Twitter, we don't have any fancy graphics. I don't do any B-roll. I don't try to do any laser shows. I don't do any of that. So I'm fairly boring. But for those of you that are joining me on a regular basis, I am getting your questions, and I appreciate your questions. Want to really let parents know right out of the gate. We're having a great response with regard to the YouTube membership. Now, those parents that are actively engaged as a 2026, 2027, maybe some 28s. Your recruiting process, you don't need to struggle. You don't need to go running around chasing. You just let me help you, as I've done for so many others. So the YouTube membership, really, it's $20 a month. You get a one-on-one stream call with me, an evaluation. We create a game plan, and it's up to you to execute the game plan. You get access to Eric Cressy, Ben Fairchild. Those are strength and conditioning guys. Then you get Tamara Seaman, mental performance. And really, in today's world, that's a big, big deal. We're going to be talking to skill set development with regard to pitching, catchers, infielders, hitters. We got the Lions Den. We have some really great former college coaches, players, major league coaches, players that are going to be joining us within the members section. You get access to my audiobooks, all my audiobooks, the process, the recruiting process, the shift, which I'm in the process, no pun intended, of updating. Fear, fun over fear, beyond the bleachers, all of that. Then my courses. I had somebody ask me the other day, hey, your whiteboard behind you, that's a really great video. And I said, well, that's all my courses. And I just put out a couple of the instructional videos for the 9 through 14 group, but that's what the courses are all about. All of that for less than half of a gate fee a month. So I'm encouraging you, if you'd like to become a member, get your one-on-one blue book evaluation, profile, all that good stuff. Also, for the algorithm of YouTube, I am asking each and every one of you that find your way to this, please like, comment, and share. Share, like, subscribe. Those are all free, and I would appreciate your help. I've answered lots of emails this week. I've answered lots of direct messages. Parents all over the country, also into Canada. I'm happy to do so. I really love helping families. This is something I'm extremely passionate about. So let's dive in to our first topic, which is the transfer portal and the NCAA settlement. First and foremost, there has been no decision rendered by Judge Wilkin with regard to the pending potential settlement of the D1 kind of legal action with regard to paying athletes, roster cuts, etc. The judge has indicated strongly that she would like to see some sort of compromise or grandfathering with regard to the roster cuts for those current student athletes that are currently on rosters. NCAA, right, wrong, or indifferent, no can do, Judge Wilkin, and now they're trying to hammer out a compromise. Transfer portal. It is really a crazy one. Look on your social media platforms, and you're seeing Power 4 schools have athletes entering into the portal, 3, 4, 5. Some schools have in excess of 10. College coaches changing, therefore athletes that had either been playing for that particular coach at that institution are entering the portal. Recruits that were going to a specific school now have the ability to go into the portal and see if anyone else would like to have their services. I want to emphasize that this is still extremely fluid. This is something that is changing daily. Yesterday, if we go on to Pro Baseball Radar, um, and you have the ability to see all of these athletes and what schools they're coming from entering the portal. Just yesterday, we had north of 1,700 athletes, already adding to the approximate 3,500. And the regional just wrapped up. Exit meetings are going on. Next week, the super regionals will complete. Those schools will go through their exit meetings. So there'll be a continuous flow of athletes in the portal. Probably will round off somewhere around 6,000. And so it's parents have to know, if you're 2025 or you have younger athletes, for the future, this is going to become the new norm. The new normal process for colleges is, it's almost like Christmas Day. We don't know who's going to be in the portal. We don't know who's entering the portal. And there's surprises that come at us. You have young athletes from Walters State now going to Tennessee. Walters State, an NAIA program. So you have a lot of fluid movements between athletes. So as a 2025, a lot of athletes are trying to find JUCOs. They're trying to find programs where there are options. All college coaches have slowed this process down to a snail's pace. There is no musical chairs. The music stops probably not until mid-July with regard to the portal. And so college coaches are going to wait to see how things begin to shake out. The top layers of athletes, there is also an MLB draft component to this, which does not occur until the Major League All-Star time period, which is early July. So, when we start talking about things like travel baseball and tournaments and showcases and camps, that's not going to help the high school athlete, and you really have to be patient. College coaches have slowed this down. They are going to see how things sort themselves out, who's available, who fits, not only from a position perspective, but financially. All these schools do not operate with the same budgets. I can tell you that the Power Four schools, they operate several $1 million a year budgets with regard to name, image, and likeness, and all of that is tied to the settlement that is still pending, as far as the revenue sharing with the athletes and the name, image, and likeness and the roster cuts, etc. So as a 2025, a couple things that you can do that parents have asked me for alternatives. One, you can take that gap year. It's not anything that has not been done before. It's been done for centuries, as far as the higher level academic institutions encourage high school athletes, especially those that graduate a little bit on the young side, 17, just turning 18. You have the ability to take online classes, hours that are basic math, science, language, English, etc. You want to make sure you're taking classes that will transfer into a potential 4-year school or possibly a 2-year school. You have the ability to go get a year stronger, strength program, nutrition, skill set development. That's definitely an option. I wouldn't go out and seek, high end IMG type of post-grad opportunities. It's a lot of money. And you're basically just running into a brick wall, because schools like that have 10 varsity programs. But you can look for, baseball development. There's a lot of new baseball academies that have opened up. I seem to have struck a nerve. Scott from Kansas. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. How many coaches? Okay, I'm going to get to these coaches, these questions in a second. Scott, Yuli, and Jason. I'll get to that in a second. So you have the post-grad option or the gap year, or, just essentially kind of getting that year of maturity mentally and physically, and then, becoming a 2026, entering college. I have an athlete that's in Florida that's basically taking a gap year, and he's going to University of Pennsylvania. And rather than going into a school, you're going to be training at home. Of course, he's got the opportunity to train at Cressy Performance there in Jupiter, Florida, but he's going to take that gap year and kind of get stronger, take an online class or two that will transfer into Penn and then go on to college. So you do have that opportunity. There's also various NAIA programs and JUCO programs, Division III programs that may still have options available for you that have rolling admissions. And rolling admissions means, they just have an acceptance capability throughout the course of the late spring and into the summer. So you can definitely explore that. And the other alternative is obviously to look into a postgraduate school or high school, really prominent, as I've mentioned and alluded to many times, with regard to schools throughout the Northeast and the East Coast, Mid-Atlantic area. Billy Wagner is a head coach, MLB Hall of Famer, inductee this summer. He coaches down in Virginia. So there's a lot of options for your 25s that if you have not found a partner with regard to athletics, academics, those are a few options. Talking about the 26s, you really have to slow your process down. 2026, and I'm going to kind of tie in a question that I've been getting asked repeatedly, which is, should I play summer baseball or should I be strength training? Now, I want to be fair to everyone, but your 2026 and 2027 class, if you're really serious with regard to college athletics, college baseball in particular, getting yourself on par physically, as well as foot speed, is critical. So there's no better time than the present. I am not advocating that you abandon ship if you've made a commitment to the summer baseball, but you need to find a proper sleep schedule, a proper strength training schedule, practice or skill set development that go hand in hand with your summer playing schedule. Please understand that when you get to college, it's 11 months out of the year that you're playing, practicing, participating, and there's always going to be a strength, speed, sleep, skill set training, time management that you're going to have to create for yourself with the help of your college coaching staff. The sooner you learn that, the better. I know that a lot of college programs are, especially the pitchers, position players that have gotten a lot of playing time during the spring, late winter, early spring, and into the summer. They kind of shut those guys down and let them rest, replenish, and recover. And the same can be said for those that have had an aggressive high school season. If you live, in a southern part of the country, a warmer climate. I also, as I've mentioned a few times, the programs that emphasize development, repetition, skill set training, as well as games that offer you a schedule to integrate strength training, foot speed. So it's an all-in-one, all-inclusive, rather than just chasing some of these tournaments that used to be really, really big and no longer are as big with regard to the college coaches. I can tell you that one segment of the industry that is growing rapidly, like really rapidly, is the evaluation, movement screen, strength training segment is probably in what I would call a mega growth mode. And you're starting to see less emphasis on the 60 to 100 game yearly schedule between high school and travel ball, and you're starting to see more of an emphasis. I know that the Dirtbags, I know that NorCal, I know that the Knights, I know that Baseball U. There's more of an emphasis on skill set development, strength training, foot speed, and preparing athletes now for the game at the collegiate level, because across the board, every single level, a rising tide is raising all ships. In this particular case, really, there's no difference between, if we start talking about Division I, Division II. If you've watched University of Tampa, if you and their Division II, if you've watched any of the Endicott, Messiah, NCAA Division III, if you've watched any of the JUCO games, you're seeing across all levels 94, 95. You're seeing skilled fielders, catchers. So really, the margin of skill is razor thin. And so the separator that separates that is strength, speed, skill. And so if we know that to be the case, we want to begin to make that a part of our day-to-day routine in order to be ready to compete. When you're in that 17 to 20-year-old window, which is going to matter to you more at the age of 20? How many games you played and what your batting average was, or what was your skill set and strength development during those 3 years, preparing you with regard to your 4-year school or 5 years of eligibility that's on the horizon, or 2 years at a JUCO. I'm going to skip real quickly because we have a lot of questions. How many coaches would you estimate you talk to on an average week? And do they ask, okay, I don't know if people can see these questions, and I do not know who Yuli, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And do they ask you directly about players you are working with? I, on average, and my wife happens to be sitting in front of me here, and if she were to come over here, she would tell you, today we were one of our down days. My wife and I both had off. I would say conservatively today, I spoke with over 20 coaches, NAIA, Dave Serrano, Steve Holmes, Illinois State, all of these Eddie Kovic at Holy Cross, all of these coaches call me. Hey, Walt, looking for, who do you have in the portal? Who do you know in the portal? Who are you working with that's going to a post-grad? They're looking, like I say repeatedly, I have post-grad schools that call me constantly looking for athletes that have a strong desire to be, at an academic orientated, or academics are a significant part of their college process. I have college coaches that are always calling me looking for, left-hand pitchers, middle infielders that can play the middle, corner outfielders that have power. So, yes, but I have relationships with college coaches, and I have earned their trust. I do not, I'm never going to advocate for a student athlete that I do not feel has the work ethic or the skill set for that particular school. It serves no purpose. I want to let parents know this is a true story. It was on the SEC network. Young man at Vanderbilt University. Both Coach Corbin and Coach King, who was at the time at Dayton, they were looking for pitching. And I gave them my honest assessment of what I felt. And this was a young man that was well below the radar. In fact, I don't even know if he was on the radar. He's 84, 89. His name is Connor Fennell. He is a now proven SEC commodity. And my point of telling you that, and there's videos that I have in my playlist, I've had athletes that didn't play or get a lot of repetitions in college that went on to play at a 4-year school like Northeastern and Mason Coppins, Darren Willis at the University of New Orleans, Caleb Roper, who is a right-handed pitcher that went to Arizona and subsequently Tulane. These boys, all of these families, they have one common thread. When I'm working with a family and I go out and start talking to college coaches, they have a work ethic, they have a desire, and they have a skill. They have an underlying foundation of skill. And I know that they are going to have a certain floor and a certain ceiling. Um, and so, yes, the answer to your question is yes. I would say conservatively each week, no slight embellishment needed. I would say on average, especially this week with the portal, I've spoken well over 100 coaches because they want to know who the names are that are in the portal that are A, from my neck of the woods, or B, athletes that I am working with or have worked with in the past. So this is something that's 37 years, actually 38 this year. And I want parents to understand I work with parents in all skill set levels. There are those parents that just need an update and a tweak, and they go about their business and they find their own way. There are those athletes that simply want an evaluation and kind of for me to line them up as far as where I think there's a fit, and they go on their way. And then there's a select few that I work with individually on a every almost a daily or weekly basis, and that's really to help them chart their course with regard to the academic in the baseball or the athletic balance. This year alone, we have boys that are going now, Lehigh, Air Force Academy. We're going to hear from all of those parents, Amherst, Babson, Vanderbilt. So these are the types of things, Florida State. These are the types of things that I've been doing for 38 years. And these coaches respect my evaluations, and they know that when those boys land on campus, both at the postgraduate level as well as the college level, that they're prepared to compete. So, Yuli, thank you for that question. I appreciate it. And then, Jason, many kids from some very academic schools in the portal, Virginia, Notre Dame. Why would they leave that diploma? Okay, seems very short sighted. Okay, I got this question today a lot. A couple of Ivy League guys, Cornell, and I believe Princeton. Cornell and Princeton have two graduate students that are going from those two prospective schools to Vanderbilt. And the reason why is they've completed their undergraduate studies and they now have that extra year of eligibility. In some cases, the higher level academic schools where the athletes stay on campus throughout the whole year, whether that's for training purposes, whether that's for extra hours in the classroom, they tend to be able to get their undergraduate degree in less than 4 years. And so therefore they have 2 years of eligibility. And in the future, they may have as many as 3 if the new settlement includes the 5th year of eligibility. But that's a major opportunity that many athletes are now taking advantage of. I get an undergrad from Cornell and a graduate degree at Vanderbilt. And oh, by the way, I get to go to Vanderbilt to get a graduate degree and play in the SEC. We heard from Matt Noon last week at Babson. And this is a stone cold fact that a lot of baseball people do not want to open their minds to. And that is that there are a lot of athletes that are going from Babson and Clark, which are New Mexico schools, MIT. MIT has a right-handed pitcher probably going to get drafted, but he's scheduled to go to Tennessee. So what the thing here is that it's the rabbit that athletes are chasing. Are you chasing the baseball or are you chasing a combination of the academic and the athletic? For me personally, as many know, my mantra is trade athletic ability for academic excellence. That's what I believe. But a Notre Dame, a UVA, I'm not going to sit here and try to talk to you about UVA versus Mississippi State, Brian O'Connor and Coach Mack going from UVA, a prestigious academic institution in the ACC, and now going to Mississippi State, former national championship program, big money school in the SEC. Some people are not as enthralled with the academic prowess, and they're really looking at the name, image, and likeness. The young man from Notre Dame is probably going to be drafted. In some cases, this creates draft leverage, meaning that if I'm drafted and somebody's willing to pay me $1 million, therefore, somebody in the portal or the name, image, and likeness people in the collective have to pay me a little bit more. And you're finding now that a lot of athletes, a lot of families at those professional schools, the P4 professional schools, where the name, image, and likeness money is being thrown around. For shortstops, it could be 300,000. For pitching, it could be several 100,000. And so it's very advantageous to collect a yearly paycheck, for lack of a better term, from a college and be a college student than it is to be a ball guy making 7,000 a month. It's easy to understand. You're going to travel like a rock star in these Power 4 schools. You're traveling by plane and sleeper buses. Minor league baseball, you're on a bus, and it's a 10 or 12-hour ride. So it's easy to understand. So, Jason, I want to answer that question by saying to you, we are in a whole new world, and many of the old narrative are fighting what I call in a wet paper bag, because eventually the bottom's just going to fall out of that paper bag. And the reality is, it's always going to be free agency every single year. And whether we like it or not, that is how this process is going to go. I believe whether it's Congress or a committee, a subcommittee created by the NCAA to kind of put some bumpers on the rails to keep everything, out of the gutter. There's going to have to be some sort of checks and balances at some point, but we still don't have a settlement yet. But the almighty dollar and the allure of the television contracts and the television exposure, and we're in a social media driven world where athletes are looking at it like, well, Notre Dame may not be promoting me as well as the SEC may be promoting me. So, but I promise you one thing, these athletes all have advisors. And I'm not going to go down that road tonight. But these boys are not making decisions off the top of their head saying, hey, let me just transfer out of Notre Dame. Somebody has talked to them or their people and said, hey, oh, by the way, if you go into the portal, I know somebody that's willing to offer you a significant amount of money. So this is not just done, on a whim. This is done with a predetermined and calculated game plan going into the portal. And if you notice, we have a lot of athletes that are, one day into the portal on June 2nd, and they already know where they're going. Some of them haven't even visited or stepped foot on these campuses. That tells us all we need to know. There's obviously some incentive there. I also want to okay, so Jason, I got that. LSU would be very competitive against Division II and low-level LSUS. Okay, Robert, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if people are reading my mind here. I want to let people know LSU Shreveport in the NAIA World Series recently. They just ran amok. They were 59-0. They maximized. They are a 4-year NAIA program, and they are loaded to the gills with JUCO graduates, JUCO athletes. Now, you may ask yourself, well, everybody can go JUCO, but see, what they are doing is they are located in the sweet spot for the JUCO landscape between, places like LSU Eunice and Blinn and San Jacinto and Texas, on the southeastern side of Texas. And so an LSU Shreveport has Division I fallbacks from NCAA. They have JUCO graduates that are elite and they're talented and they want to get on the field to maximize their remaining 2 years of eligibility at the NAI level. And so it's a very attractive opportunity. You're going to see scouts at those games. LSU Shreveport is an NAIA school. The Cumberlands, Johnson University, Reinhardt, Walters State, Lee University. These schools can all compete. Endicott, Messiah, UTampa, Southern New Hampshire, Salve Regina, all these schools from all these divisions, they're sending athletes to elite Division I NCAA programs, NAIA programs. And so parents, we have to, again, widen the lens, create a longer runway, Do not limit your student athletes, trying to rush the days of the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, even 11th, the junior year, those grades. No need to really be worried about college. None. Zip. Zero. None. Get yourself ready. Strength, speed, skill, school. Get yourself ready. So when the bell rings on that summer of your rising senior year, you're ready to be seen. You're ready to be evaluated. You're ready to be, exposure opportunities. Your student athlete is fully ready. They're running a sub-7. They have good, accurate arm strength, carry on the ball, good ball strike. They got some pop in the bat. You need to understand you are not competing against your peer group. Parents and athletes, the most difficult set of glasses for you to put on are the glasses that are looking into the future. You're looking at how your athletes compete against their peers at local schools and local travel or national travel. That's not who they're competing with. They're competing with guys that are already in school. They're competing with men. So the sooner that we begin to navigate and create a course of action, a plan that allows your athletes to be fully prepared for what really lies ahead. How many people are in the portal are 2024 high school graduates? A ton. How many guys are in 2025 high school that thought they were going to a school are getting calls? And I'm sorry, there's no room at the inn. A ton. So if we know this has happened to the 2024s and the 2025s, at what point do you as a 25, 26, 27, and 28 want to say, I got to call a timeout. I got to reevaluate my game plan. What's my focus? See, parents, you're sold on fear. Fear you're going to miss out. Fear you're going to miss an opportunity. Fear you're not going to be ready. When in reality, coaches are basically giving you the answer to the test. Be physically prepared. Be mentally tough. Be mentally tough. Be mentally disciplined. Those are the three things that every single college coach is telling us every week on Thursday nights. Matt Noon laid it all out. You can go to Clark, you can go to Babson, and then you can go to BC, you can go to UConn, you can go to Vanderbilt, you can go to UVA, you can go to Wake Forest. It's not the same course that everybody else over the last 5 to 15 years has followed. It's different. It's unique. It's individualized. And for parents, every single day you're seeing on social media, portal numbers are blowing all over the place, and this guy's leaving this school. Business. It's big boy business. Velocity industry. Used to be a cottage industry. Now it's a full-blown business. I'm trying to get parents to understand you don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars to run around the country, and your student athlete is not getting proper sleep. They're not getting proper nutrition. They're dehydrated. They're not getting better. You have to be able to understand summer baseball is a fun experience. The right life mentors of all the programs I've mentioned before, and I'm sure there's several others, you have to understand it's all about development, all about skill development, strength development, speed development. If you're not doing that, you're falling behind. The boys are men at the next level. They have routines, they have disciplines. Ever ask yourself why college baseball and major league or professional baseball, they're lifting in season, they're lifting out of season, They have good sleep habits. They have good nutrition habits. These are the types of things we don't spend enough time talking about, but they're an integral part of the future success of your student athlete. So I want to make sure that I get that part out there. Okay, now this is a great question, and I'm really glad that I'm being asked this question. And I have to put my glasses on, and I really want to. And I thank you very much. Now I'm just going to show you this because I want to prove something to Yuli, and if you could give me an idea if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Yuli, but I don't know if anybody can see this, but Dusty Hart is the head coach at Blinn, and Chris Shank is the head coach at NCAA Division II National Powerhouse, Southern New Hampshire. And if you could see that, and if you can put a thumbs up in my comments section, I'd appreciate it. But this is from NCAA Division II. This is breaking news. And if you are hearing this, please put a thumbs up in the comment section. NCAA Division II just passed the rule that incoming freshmen can now play in 30% of the season and not use a year of eligibility. So basically, incoming freshman pitchers, position players are getting a year free. Now, that is monumental. This is a very, very big deal. NCAA, thank you for the thumbs up. TFS, thank you, sir, or ma'am. NCAA Division II passed a rule that incoming freshmen can now play in 30% of the season and not use a year of eligibility. Huge news. John, thank you for your thumbs up. Huge news from Division II, NCAA Division II. I encourage parents to do a very deep dive into the NCAA Division II and III world. You have the Sunshine State Conference, which is UTampa, Barry. You have St. Leo's. You have Florida Southern. In New England, you have Assumption, New Haven, St. Michael's, Southern New Hampshire, Franklin Pierce. These are great, tremendous athletic conferences that I really, really encourage parents to really take a good look at. When I'm working with families and I start to break down, the fit from a college perspective with geographics, academics, campus size, et cetera, Division II schools often really offer tremendous value. A lot of big leaguers come out of Division II as well. And I really encourage you to take a look, regardless of where you're from, at several of these Division II schools. And the JUCO schools, Dusty and I have gone back and forth. JUCOs are getting a lot of highly skilled athletes that no longer are going into the draft. They're just not quite ready for the draft, but they don't want to go get locked into a 4-year cycle for the draft, which means turning 21 or your junior year in college, and they want to be draft eligible every year that they play in college. And that's really where the JUCO world is kind of formulating a very impactful freshman and redshirt freshmen. These are athletes that Major League Scouts are saying you're a draftable athlete, but you need 20 pounds or you need another year of physical maturity. And why don't you go to Blinn, or why don't you go to LSU Eunice, or why don't you go to Chipola? So that's where that is coming from. But these are the types of text messages and direct messages that I get on a daily basis. And I wanted to let Yuli know that here's my phone and this is exactly who I'm talking to. I would never show people my messages from the college coaches. Congrats to Salt Lake Community College. They played their rear ends off exactly. Jackson Healy. There you go, Jackson. Welcome aboard. Stuart, thank you very much. And I do want to get to this one last question, because I think a lot of parents are thinking about this question, but they don't quite know how to phrase it. Um, I want to tell parents specifically, this process is really much, much more than baseball or athletics. It, college coaches genuinely now more than ever have to be on point with their evaluations. And you must look at the business side of college, meaning lower level college programs, NAIA, NCAA 3. And when I say lower level, I mean not the big money schools and the P4, the professional division. They operate within a budget athletically, and obviously, they encourage at some schools to, they have a developmental team, a JV team, and so you have to ask yourself as parents, is that something of value? Can my student athlete ultimately become a varsity player in the world that we created with travel ball, where the expectation is when I become a freshman, I deserve to start. I'm not going to play JV. Well, if you thought that was a big deal in high school, oh, by the way, I got some news for you. College is going to be extremely, extremely tough to break into those varsity programs, particularly as a baseball player. And so I want parents to understand, at what point are you going to sit down and discuss as a family really what you are aspiring, or where you are aspiring to go in, and who is having these conversations with you. You may think, I want to go to University of Tennessee, I want to go to LSU. That probably isn't going to happen if they haven't talked to you yet. And if they haven't talked to you by the time you're a senior in high school, that doesn't mean you can't get there, but you might have to go Division III, like MIT. MIT, one of the greatest academic institutions in the world, is leaving there to go to Tennessee. That's a head scratcher, but it's all about money, money, money. And Paul Skeens left the Air Force Academy to go to LSU. You could make an argument, military commitment or academy versus LSU. He obviously made the right choice. My point to you is, there's a, just like when you hit your GPS and your Waze in your car, if there's a construction or an accident ahead, it's going to give you an alternative route. You need to have an initial roadmap and then be able to pivot or deviate with the help of someone that is either a talent evaluator or someone that works with all of the various coaches and so forth, that allows you to pivot, whether that's a post-grad year, a post reclassification, going Division III, going someplace that you can play. So I'm really pumped up. There's no way I can get to all these questions, and everybody always tells me stop talking. So I really want to tell parents, keep your questions coming. Please, if nothing else, if you can share this video, if you can like, comment on this video, please subscribe. Just subscribe. You just hit the button. It's free. It's absolutely free. If you as a family or as a student athlete would like me to evaluate your videos, give you some point of reference as far as, here's a map, here's what you need to work on, here's where your floor is, here's what your ceiling is. If you would like to have the Coach's Corner content, where I'm talking to all the coaches, going to be talking to Ben Fairchild this week on Thursday. He's down in Greater Houston. This guy's elite. This is one of the elite strength trainers in the country. Worked with J.J. Watt, worked with Andy Pettit, Carlos Correa, Lance Berkman. I mean, Kevin Biggio, Roger Clemens' son. These are the types of skill set development, strength trainers that you will have access to as a member. And also you have access to all of the courses, all of the audio books, both that are current and that will come in the future. Also, you will have access to the Lion's Den, which is Tyler and Matt Tabor, Tyler Beede, Matt Tabor. And these conversations will allow you tremendous access and insight into really what it takes to become the athlete that your student athlete dreams of becoming. I'm going to be doing these free every single Tuesday. I'm going to continue to have free content. We're going to talk to a lot of college coaches, going to be free content. I'm answering questions. I am answering your questions. I'm going to create videos. I think sometimes written responses are out of context, and I think it provides clarity for you as parents and student athletes when you hear me talk. Last thing I want to do, because I know he's watching today, you have a young man that's a sophomore in high school. Hold on one second. Let me get to a couple of questions. Yuli, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Yuli, I just want to ask. I'm a father of a rising freshman in Florida. Your information, thank you so much. TFS. So let me and George, first of all, I loved your comment today on Creighton, George. And I truly appreciate for the last many years you've been interacting with me. TFS is the parent of a freshman in high school. Parents, I think it's important for me to get this off my chest and out here into the world of social media. If you're the parent of an 8th grader that's about to be a 9th grader, a 9th grader that's about to be a sophomore, or a sophomore that's about to be a junior, the chances of the phone ringing August 1st in today's world are dimmer and dimmer. There are no real reasons for you to chase at the 8th, 9th, and 10th grade levels. Zero need to think or concern yourself in any capacity with recruiting. You can obviously go to camps. Big fan of college camps. Do you think they're, for fundraising purposes? Many are, but also many provide elite instruction that your athletes can benefit from. And you need to approach those camps not as a identification for recruiting, but as a way of getting better and listening to what the coaches are asking your athlete to become: strength, speed, skill, school, and use that to help them during those 3, 4, 5 years between middle school and high school graduation. Do not need to worry. You're not missing anything. Anything. Nothing. Zip. Zero. Nada. There are 2024s that are getting cut. There are 20, and last year they thought they were going to the big place, and now they see that they weren't prepared. They weren't mentally prepared. We don't talk about that enough. We'll get to that another day. They're not physically prepared enough. That's what we're talking about tonight. But most importantly, their skill sets are not prepared for the day-to-day, daily grind at the college level. When I'm talking to guys like Matt Tyner at Townsend, Mike Glavin at Northeastern, these guys are in the CAA. And when parents start talking to me about schools, I say, oh, by the way, what about Townsend? What about Northeastern? What about Delaware? We want to go to this camp or that camp. Wherever you are geographically, find a college camp, go, listen and learn. Ask the coach, can I come to one of your practices? Can I come to watch you practice? Can I sit in the stands and listen and take notes? If you show a college coach that you're that dedicated and you're going to watch their practices, obviously I'd like you to go to their games. But in the fall, that is tremendous information that you have as a resource that very, very, very few families take advantage of. They're always too busy. But yet when they get to a certain point as a junior or senior, what price were you willing to pay? That's the critical mass. But my point to you is, as a freshman in high school, college is a little bit on the horizon. If you take today, tomorrow, and one day at a time and focus on 1% stronger, 1% faster, 1% better skill set, catching, infielding, ground balls, fly balls, hitting, pitching, location. If you take that and you're 1% better with your time management skills, school, study habits, 1% every single day. And guess what? If you get to the senior year in high school, there are options. There are options. Here's what I want parents to know. Every single day, I get calls and I get emails and I get text messages from postgraduate schools. Extremely, extremely strong academic institutions looking for quality student athletes. I get calls from college coaches. Walt, I just lost a guy to the draft. Walt, we lost this guy to the portal. Walt, this guy just blew out his knee. Walt, that guy just tore his UCL. And it happens all year round. So it's not that I want to invite you to engage and be a part. I'm saying to you that opportunity for those that are prepared, that are prepared for when opportunity presents itself, you can slide yourself in. But if a school needs a shortstop and you're not ready physically, you're not ready skill set wise, you're not ready foot speed or grades, you missed your opportunity. So as a high school freshman, think more about your body, your sleep habits, your study habits, your nutrition, getting the proper nutrition, getting the proper hydration. If I say to a parent, you have to be strong, I didn't say you have to be 6'3". There are plenty of 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" athletes that are tremendously strong, grip strength, arm strength, foot speed, but they've paid the price in the weight room. So I really want parents to understand that's what we're going to be doing on Tuesday nights. What I want to know from you, and I want you to comment, and I want you to email me, would you like a college coach to join me on Tuesdays to answer your questions? Would you like strength coaches to join me on Tuesdays? And I'm talking about the live, where you have direct access. And in some cases, I'm going to allow you to be part of the stream to actually engage and interact rather just than me reading a question. Yes, sir. Thank you, Yuli. I'm pronouncing it correctly. I feel vindicated. Jackson Healy. Okay, that's the guy I want to talk to. Okay, Jackson Healy is a sophomore, and he plays for a really good school here in Massachusetts. And he is going to be a junior next year. I believe he's going to be a 2026. So he's a junior this year. Young man that just found me here on the YouTube and social media. And I looked at his video. First thing I said to his family, his parents, and Jackson, really good hit tool. Made a few tweaks, made a few suggestions, really strong academic student. My point of telling you this story is he's about to go to some camps and do those types of things. What I really try to tell parents, if you're really trying to play the long game, you want to take your time with regard to the chasing of the showcase. The showcase as a underclassman, you're going to be forgotten unless you're riding in there with a 90-plus fastball or you're hitting 450-foot home runs. The portal between June 2nd and let's just call it July 15th, taking up all the coaches' time, all their calls, all their emails. They are looking at portal. They are talking with portal. They want pitchers. They want infielders. They want catchers. And then the middle of July. So really know the dates. Know where the coaches are really going to be. Talk to so many parents. We went to this tournament. There were no college coaches. That tournament, no college coaches. You need to know where you're spending your time, where you're spending your resources and your money. So I thank you all. You're very welcome, Yuli. I truly appreciate you taking the time to join me today. TFS, Jackson, Sam, I know Jason. I know I answered a few people's questions here on the Twitter. I would love for you to hit on the way out. Bradley, thank you very much. I love the name, Bradley Busy. My nickname is Buzzy. Now, wouldn't that be funny if I had a Buzzy Busy name? That would be curious. If you like this, thumbs up, subscribe. but please share. Take the time to share. Jennifer, thank you very much. Would love a strength trainer and coach. Okay, Jennifer, I'm gonna tell you one thing. This Thursday at 9, I'm going to be talking with Ben Fairchild of Fairchild Sports Performance. Now, both he and Eric Cressy, as well as Tommy Moffitt, these are what I consider to be the elite folks in the baseball strength sphere. They work with major league athletes, NFL athletes. Tommy Moffitt has been around LSU athletics for 20 plus years. He's now at Texas A&M. He's got 3 sons. Going to be bringing this to you this Thursday, Jennifer, if you'd like to join me. You want to look up Fairchild Sports Performance, Eric Cressy Sports Performance, Moffitt Method, Jennifer, any one of those 3. They are elite life mentors, and they are elite within their world of strength training, specifically for baseball. So thank you for that question. Coach would be great on Tuesdays. Okay, I'm going to be doing that for you, Bradley. Probably going to have Coach Serrano, Coach Tyner, Coach King at Vanderbilt. Going to have a few of these guys joining me on Tuesday. And we're going to be working with the folks at Pro Line Balls, and they're going to have some hitting coaches, some catching coaches. So we're really going to make Tuesday about you and your questions as opposed to what I think you want to hear. So keep sending your questions in. I appreciate your time. Please like, subscribe, and share. If as much as you can share this video on your social media platforms, just hit the share button. It would really mean a great deal for me. Oh, by the way, become a member. Let's work together and make your dreams or your student athletes' dreams come true. Have a great week in baseball. If you're still playing high school baseball in the state tournaments, best of luck, and see you this Thursday.